proposed at the CARICOM meeting.
He calls on all Haitian stakeholders to act responsibly and to take steps towards the implementation of the agreement in order to restore the country's democratic institutions through peaceful, credible, participatory, and inclusive elections.
Gabriel Zondo, Al Jazeera, at the United Nations in New York.
In the U.S., Joe Biden and Donald Trump both have won enough delegates to secure their party's presidential nominations. Biden passed the threshold after winning the primary in the state of Georgia. The incumbent president faced little opposition from his own party, while Donald Trump secured the Republican nomination after winning the primary in Washington state. While both men are vying for the votes of one of America's largest labor unions, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. They represent primarily truck drivers and warehouse workers. The support of their 1.3 million members could be key for both candidates in November. Mike Hanna reports from Washington.
The president on his way to the Teamsters Union headquarters. The organization endorsed Joe Biden in the 2020 election, but this election cycle, the group is meeting with all the candidates before deciding. The man who's likely to stand against Biden held a meeting with the union last month, and figures indicate that between 30% and 40% of its members voted for Donald Trump, despite the union's endorsement of Biden. Aware of vote seepage from a critical election base, Biden is focusing on all the unions, calling out the United Auto Workers president, Shawn Fain, during his recent State of the Union address.
Shawn, where are you? Stand up.
The president relieved at this particular union's early endorsement, but it's not just in the labor movement that Biden may lose some votes. African Americans have traditionally supported Democrats, as acknowledged at this Black History White House event.
I am president and Kamala's vice president because of you. You've had my back, and we've had your back.
Yet among some young blacks, there's concern about Biden's age and also anger at being treated as a monolithic bloc whose support of a Democrat candidate is a given.
We do not all think the same. We do not all look the same. And I think that sometimes on Capitol Hill, they forget that. And with this political climate, I feel like my community is starting to understand the importance of not checking out that stereotypical box that they could continue to put us in.
Recent polls confirm there's a drop in support among the Democrats' traditional constituencies.
One poll indicates that Biden's support among black voters has dropped from 87% in 2020 to 76% now. Among Hispanic voters, it's moved from 65 to 53%. And while 57% of women voted for Biden in 2020, only 52% will vote that way now.
But some experts point out that polls represent a snapshot, not necessarily a prediction.
I think the Biden folks know that they have some work to do, and they're going to work on those particular groups.
The task now facing the Biden campaign: to rebuild the unique coalition that brought him to power 4 years ago. And today's meeting with the Teamsters, just one step in this process. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
The government in India's Karnataka state has announced a fine for people who use drinking water for other purposes. The state's capital, Bengaluru, is facing its worst water shortage in 40 years. It's a result of little rain, overcrowding and development. Minel Fernandez reports.
Tankers like this are the only source of water for thousands of people in Bengaluru, widely called India's Silicon Valley. Inadequate rain, falling water levels in the Cauvery River basin and rapid development have reduced water supplies in a city where 14 million people live.
There's no water in the taps. Borewell is also not working for the last 3 months. We have to do this. We don't get it from the Cauvery River. It's a big, big problem.
Authorities say 110 villages that rely on groundwater supplies from borewells are the worst affected. The Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka says nearly half of the 14,800 borewells have dried up. Residents say authorities are not doing enough to address the problem, and that's forcing them to buy water at exorbitant prices. Kiosks dispensing drinking water like this one are busier than ever. It sells 20 litres of water for around 60 US cents.
Earlier, drinking water was available on our street. That's not the case anymore. Now we have to come to this kiosk with our cans. We have to wait because there is always a queue.
High-rise residential blocks are the worst affected. Residents of this apartment have been told that rationing will start on Monday, with supply times restricted. Government officials told Al Jazeera there's a mismatch between supply and demand, and the situation will be resolved soon.
It's a short-term shortage. Definitely we will be bridging the gap in the next 15-20 days. Till then, we are all requesting the general public to minimize the wastage of water.
The state government has announced $60 fines for other purposes. But scientists say there are bigger issues to consider. This professor says unplanned urbanization and overuse of concrete is the main cause of the shortages. He said 88% of vegetation and 79% of waterways have disappeared in the last 4 decades, while the spread of concrete has soared more than tenfold.
We should stop the concretization. We need to decongest the city. We should think about harvesting the rainwater through the lake. We need to think about wastewater treatment. If we do that, yes, there is a solution and all of us will live. Otherwise, city dies and we all have to leave the city.
With months to go before any rain is expected, residents here are hoping things will improve. But their experience so far suggests otherwise. Minna Fernandez, Al Jazeera.
Now, efforts to promote awareness around protecting elephants, an endangered species in Thailand, have been successful. But the conservation efforts have led to another problem. As populations of wild elephants have grown, some have strayed into areas populated by people to find food, with tragic results. Tony Cheng reports from eastern Thailand.
A group of volunteers search for clues as dusk falls in eastern Thailand. Their targets are harder to spot than you might think. These are the elephant hunters. Wild elephants here have adapted, hiding and sleeping in the day, foraging at night. Their enormous appetites, up to 400 kilograms of food a day, have drawn them out of the forest and onto farms. While they try to avoid contact with humans, when they do meet, the result can be disastrous. After darkness falls, more volunteers come to join the hunt. A few are armed, but that's just for protection.
It's not really our job to hunt for elephants. We're more like spotters. We're trying to make sure that the elephants don't go near the community.
At the Eastern Elephant Education Centre, they try to track the elephants and educate everyone in how to react when they encounter them.
The elephant population has been increasing and people have become more aggressive to protect themselves and their property. At the same time, the elephants have become more aggressive, so there's more friction between humans and animals.
The elephant hunters race through the countryside, searchlights pointing into the thick forests. Many people in this area are now too scared to go out at night. These are not the ponderous pachyderms many imagine them to be. Silent and stealthy, they can creep up in the dark. That's what happened to Thai's neighbour last month. Rubber tappers have to work in the cool of the night, but it's a huge risk.
My neighbor was working that night and came across the elephant and couldn't get away in time. The elephant ended up stomping him to death.
Then a report from villagers of a disturbance on the edge of their community. The thermal imaging drone takes off, and this time they're in luck. 2 distinct shapes.
The elephants were just 150 meters down the track. We could hear them snorting in the darkness, but they're heading off into the forest, and the elephant hunters have deemed there's no threat unless they decide to turn back.
As the volunteers shine lights to deter them, they move away. But they'll be back. They frequently return to places they know they'll find food, and an elephant never forgets. Tony Cheng, Al Jazeera, Cha Chong Sao, Eastern Thailand.
And that is the news for now. 101 East is next on Al Jazeera. Stay with us.
The Russian presidential election will take place over 3 days from March the 15th. People will be voting in Russia, Crimea and the four so-called new territories taken from Ukraine. With little opposition, Vladimir Putin looks certain to win again. Stay with Al Jazeera for the global reaction.
In Nepal, a remarkable story is unfolding. One of Asia's poorest countries has brought rhinos and tigers back from the brink of extinction, almost doubling their populations in just 15 years.
We cannot afford to lose a chance to save the rhino, and every number counts for those endangered species.
The Nepalese army is working with NGOs and forest communities to fight poaching.
If they fire, then we can open the fire. Don't doubt on it.
But as wildlife numbers rise, human-animal conflict is growing. And activists allege indigenous people are being driven out of their homes. 101 East travels to Nepal's jungles to investigate how the country has become a global conservation leader. It's dawn in Chitwan National Park. This is home to the vast majority of Nepal's one-horned rhinos and Bengal tigers. Authorities have received a tip-off that there are poachers deep inside the park and are preparing for a patrol on elephant back. We have been invited to accompany them on this sensitive mission.
दाइनातर्फ तमोरतारतर्फ लाग्दछौँ तमोरतारतर्फ पुगेपछि त्यस इलाकामा चोरी सिकारीको गतिविधि हरकत बुझ्नेछौँ.
Colonel Sashikumar Karki from the Nepalese army is a veteran fighter against poachers.
चाहिँ घटना घटिसकेको तमोरताल इलाकामा चाहिँ चोरी सिकारीको घटना घटिसकेको ठाउँ हो. त्यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ अब अहिले बर्सातको कारणले गर्दाखेरि झाडी बुट्यानहरू बढेको हुनाले अब फुट पेट्रोलहरू गर्न चाहिँ एकदम त्यहाँ अहिले कठिन छ. त्यही भएर आज तिम्रो जुन प्रकारको तिमीहरूको पेट्रोल प्लान अनुसार चाहिँ
More than 1,000 soldiers are stationed inside Chitwan, and their primary task is to stop poachers.
And look where now the patrol is heading. It's very much inaccessible to all the foot patrols, but we're using this elephant back patrol as a tools. Elephants provides us to operate especially 24/7, all weather, all season, day, night, rain, whatever it is, obviously act as a deterrent to the bad guys.
The bad guys are poachers who have killed hundreds of rhinos over the years and smuggled their horns to countries like China and Vietnam for use in traditional medicine. During Nepal's civil war between 1996 and 2006, rhino numbers fell by 1/3. But now, the army's presence and some of the world's strictest anti-poaching laws have helped turn the tide.
So how come the army is involved in conservation and patrol activities in Nepal?
किनभने हामीले प्राकृतिक स्रोत साधनको चाहिँ हाम्रो र यसको चाहिँ जैविक विविधताको सुरक्षा गर्नु भनेको हाम्रो राष्ट्रिय सुरक्षाको र राष्ट्रिय इन्ट्रेस्टको चाहिँ विषयवस्तु पनि भएको हुनाले त्यस 116 जनासम्ममा चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ नेपाली सेनाको चाहिँ सकल दर्जाहरूले आफ्नो कर्तव्य पालनको सिलसिलामा.
In just the past year, the army has arrested 27 poachers in and around Chitwan. But today, there are none to be found. They make one final sweep using a drone. No poachers, but they do see a lot of rhinos. A 2021 census found the number of rhinos in Nepal had risen to 752, making it the world's second largest one-horned rhino population after India. And they're not the only native animal making a comeback. A more recent survey of tigers found that their population had almost tripled. Nepal is now a world leader in conservation. But it wasn't always this way. This land was once used as a royal hunting reserve. Visitors like Britain's Queen Elizabeth II were treated to rhino and tiger hunts by Nepal's kings.
But there was more hunting to come. The next prey was a rhino.
By the 1960s, there were fewer than 100 rhinos left in Nepal. To save the animal from extinction, Chitwan was founded in 1973. And 2 years later, specially trained soldiers started patrolling the park.
Right, so this is the conservation
schools. यो हाम्रो नेचर कन्जर्भेसन स्कुल हो नेपाल आर्मीको only one conservation school. 8 किसिमको तालिमहरु नेचर कन्जर्भेसनमा आवश्यक पर्ने एन्टी पोचिङसँग सम्बन्धित रुल्स एन्ड रेगुलेसन्स एक्ट कानुनहरुको विषयमा देखि लिएर ड्रोन टेक्नोलोजी मोटर बोटको सबै किसिमको तालिमहरु हामी यहाँ गर्छौं.
The soldiers here today are in the final leg of their training. After weeks of theory, it's time for a critical drill on how to capture and interrogate poachers in the park.
Anti-poaching आफैमा एकदमै क्रिटिकल अपरेसन हो. यसमा चाहिँ हाईली ट्रेन्ड सोल्जर्स मात्र युज हुन्छ सकेसम्म. यसमा चाहिँ बढी तालिम प्राप्त गरेको हामीले चाहिँ यो नेचर कन्जर्भेसन सम्बन्धी ट्रेनिङ प्राप्त र हाईली फायर गर्न फायरम्यानहरु शार्प शूटर लगायतको.
In many parts of the world, heavily armed poachers have overwhelmed conservation forces. In Nepal, however, not only are the soldiers well equipped, but they also have the right to engage poachers and to use lethal force if necessary.
If they fire, then we can open the fire. Don't यसमा doubt हुनु पर्ने कुरै छैन हैन. But just fire under the below the knee. Yes, don't fire headshot, don't fire, don't do that. Just fire here. Just our objective is to capture them, just only, not to kill them. Okay?
It's a delicate balance for these recruits.
Yes.
They'll be taking on their fellow citizens.
बिस्तारै रुक्नु होला गने बिस्तारै अर्डर सर खुर्र कुदेर जानी सबैजना उठेर सिधा हुने नि जानी फायर भाग प्रकाश भाग पकेसम्म भाग त सक्छ छैन भाग क्याप्चर गरेर समात लडा न खुट्टा मात्ने हान्न खुट्टा हान्न पाइन्छ करा न मार्यो भन्न मार्यो.
While the right to use force seems to be effective against poachers, there are concerns about the increasing militarization of Nepal's natural reserves.
Okay.
Critics say this fortress model of conservation has led to human rights violations, especially against indigenous communities living around the park.
कुराहरुको पोजिटिभ कुरा गर्ने मान्छेहरु पनि हुन्छ नेगेटिभ गर्ने कुरा पनि हुन्छ. अन्त एक वर्षमा 40 वटा गैंडा पोचिङ भएको छ भने नेपालमा एउटा दुईटा भन्दा भएको छैन. किन त हाम्रो यो अहिलेको रिजल्ट हेर्नुस् टाइगर काउन्टको रिजल्ट हेर्नुस् राइनो सेन्ससको कुरा हेर्नुस्.
The results are impressive. While 12 rhinos were poached in 2010, in the decade since, there have been 6 years in which no rhinos were killed at all by poachers. No tiger has been shot here in over a decade. But this success has led to a new problem: growing human-wildlife conflict. It's an issue park officials like Assistant Warden Saroj Mani Podel deal with regularly.
What's happening right now? Yeah, rhino is eating paddy. Is lying in the paddy field.
Okay, so we're going to go, you're going to chase that away?
Village area.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And follow my speaker.
Okay, this way. All right.
If we don't chase the rhino in the proper time, and they will be fired to us. That why you are sending this rhino in our village? They will ask. No, sorry, we are not sending. Rhino is going to self.
Rhinos often stray from the national park into surrounding settlements looking for food. A farmer can lose a few months' work in just a few hours. Damage that can cripple a family.
Where's the rhino?
Rhino is, I think, there.
So over there, beyond the fields over there, yeah?
Yeah. An elephant.
So you got your team of elephants ready?
Podel and his staff will use elephants to escort the rhino back into the national park. Operations like these are fraught with risk. Both rhinos and people are unpredictable. The rhino is a young male and doesn't like being told where to go. Experienced park staff try to block all escape routes. The challenge for Podell and his team is to maneuver the animal back into the reserve without injuring him or the villagers, while also preventing further damage to the crops. But despite their best efforts, the rhino enters another farmer's fields, sparking panic. The family is angry, watching the damage to their crops, and refuse to listen to the officials' pleas to stay away from the animal. If the rhino charges, their lives are at risk. Eventually, the rhino is shepherded back to the road. And as darkness falls, back towards the forest. For Podell and his team, the crisis was averted in the nick of time. Dealing with Nepal's growing population of tigers is even more challenging.
So we are going into this community forest, Kumro's buffer zone community forest.
Scientists like Dr. Baburam Lamichane are at the forefront of mitigating human-tiger conflict.
So there was some problem with tigers in recent time in this forest. So we are putting cameras to check which tigers are coming, whether there is some problematic tiger in this area or not.
Great, so let's see how this works.
Sure.
As their population has grown, tigers have killed more than 100 people in Nepal over the past decade.
This area is not very far from the forest, settlement. It is around like 300 meter to 500, I think, or something like that. So this area we have seen frequent tiger movement. Not all tigers are causing conflict, but there are specific tigers which have their own problem, or they are old individuals who are pushed out from their territory. So these are causing conflict. So if we put these camera traps here and then identify these tigers before they do any harm, and then we can remove these tigers from this risky zone, and then we can reduce the chances of conflict.
Is that quite an extreme and difficult step for you, capturing the tigers? Is that?
Yeah, it is quite difficult. First thing to decide which tiger to capture itself is difficult. When we decide this tiger to capture, then it's also a big job, because after identifying that tiger, we need to look at where this tiger is. If we can find the tiger, then we can just go and use this traditional method of encircling it with the white cloth. And then generally, tigers don't cross that white cloth. And then we use elephants to push the tigers, and then use this darting the sedation drugs from the elephant bag. Every time it's a risk. So, of course, it's scary. We are dealing with the tiger which is dangerous. It's not only the normal tiger, it's sometimes man-eating tigers which attack people multiple times. It's scary, but it's also, we take our safety measures well.
Nepal's policy of capturing problem tigers and keeping them in captivity is a major strain on resources and not a long-term solution. It costs $50,000 a year to maintain a single tiger, money the cash-strapped government simply can't afford. A more cost-effective and sustainable strategy is to educate the communities that live around the tigers on how to minimize conflict. Community groups such as this one are key to Nepal's conservation model, maintaining almost a third of the country's forests.
सुन्नुस् है अहिले पनि हामीले लिएर छौं हामी यो तपाईहरुको यहाँ पछि हामी फेरि जंगलमा जान्छौं अब तपाईले जंगलमा जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ हसियाले हान्दिने भनेर अगाडि आएर यसो गरेर हिँड्नुहुन्छ अनि तपाईहरुको सबै फोटो परिरा हुन्छ खास तपाईहरुको लागि राखेको हैन
कस्तो बेलामा चाहिँ बाघले आक्रमण गरिरहेछ हाम्रो यहाँ 4-5 वटा घटना भयो तपाईहरुले यसो हेर्नुस् त अब हामीले हाम्रो व्यवहार परिवर्तन गर्नु अब जनावरलाई नियन्त्रण गर्ने समस्या दिने बाघलाई हामीले नियन्त्रण गर्ने चाहिँ जस्तो कुनै बेला चाहिँ अब बाघ देखिहाल्यो एकदमै नजिकमा चाहिँ देखिहाल्यो भने त्यसमा चाहिँ बिस्तारै यसरी बाघलाई चाहिँ हेर्दै पछाडी हट्नुपर्छ भनिन्छ कि अगाडि देख्यो भनेर फेरि पछाडीबाट दौडिन थालेको बेलामा पछि आक्रमण पनि गर्न सक्छ त्यो भएर यीको साना साना कुरा
But human casualties from encounters with Nepal's tigers and rhinos keep rising. In a nearby village, I meet Kundan Lama, a farmer who frequently goes to the forest to get fodder for his goats.
तो वहाँ पे आप क्या कर रहे थे आप घास काट रहे थे थोड़ा बताएंगे दोबारा हाँ
मैं इसके घास काट रहा थियो पानी पर रहा था
बारिश हो रहा था
हाँ बारिश पानी पर रहा थी अनि गैंडा इधर से आया यता बढाएर म यसरी यहाँनिर हाने त्यो खुट्टाले यसरी दबाएको भए त म मर्थे उले हान्यो हान्दा 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 पछाडीबाट मेरो भेनाले लट्ठीहरु हान्नी के हान्नी गरेर चाहिँ बचायो मलाई
अब इसमें हाथ में कैसे इसको उठा नहीं सकते हैं इसको
यो हाथ इसरी उठा नहीं सकता ये हाथ से जाता है ऐसे जाता है
हाँ
ये हाथ को यो हाथ को चाहिँ अंदर से हड्डी चर्का है
और फिर आपको जैसे अभी काम करने में या पैसा कमाने में कुछ नहीं कर सकते इस टाइम पे
मैं घरमा अब मै हो कमाएर दिनुपर्ने अब बुढीहरुलाई बच्चाहरुलाई अब म आफै नसकेपछि अलि दुःखको कुरा हो त्यो दुःख लाग्छ
The park administration paid for Kundan's treatment, but he's still waiting to receive a disability benefit from the government. Even so, he has nothing but respect for the forest's animals.
अब त अब उनीहरु बस्ने ठाउँै हो हैन अब गाह्रो त अब उनीहरुलाई पनि अब सडक त भइराखा अब त्यो गैंडाले गर्दाखेरि पनि ग्यासहरु पनि त आउने हो नि त यो सौरा लाइनमा यही गैंडाले गर्दाखेरि ग्यासहरु बढ्ने हो त्यसको लागि त अब त्यो पनि अब राम्रो त राम्रै हो.
But amongst indigenous groups, there is growing resentment at the price they say they're paying for Nepal's conservation model. When Chitwan was established, tens of thousands of indigenous people were evicted from their homes and moved to areas outside the reserve. These communities receive little tourism revenue and are routinely fined or arrested for venturing into the park to fish and to collect grass. Near Chitwan, I go to a meeting organized by human rights lawyer Shankar Limbu. Members of the Kumal and Bote indigenous groups complain that in addition to their land, they're now also losing their traditional livelihoods.
त्यसो भएदेखि अब गएर चाहिँ कुमाल बोटे माझी मुसर जति पनि राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्जका छेउमा छन् नि मैले लाइसेन्सले म मरे भने अब वञ्चित भयो त मेरो संस्कार मेरो गएर चाहिँ तपाईको रीतिरिवाज मेरो छोरामा जान्छ कि जाँदैन भावी पुस्तामा जान्छ कि जाँदैन उले अधिकार पाउने कि नपाउने यो मान्छेले होटलको पनि अर्थ दुईटा हुन्छ
Jai Mangal Kumal is a local community leader.
साङ्ग्रिला होटल खुलेको छ काठमाडौँको होटल यहाँ आएको छ नेपालको धनी मान्छेलाई भएको होला सहर बजारलाई भएको होला तर यो निकुञ्ज क्षेत्रमा जो नजिकमा गएर चाहिँ बसोबास गरेछ त्यो मान्छेहरुको निम्ति यो फाइदा छैन.
Shankar Limbu says he has extensively documented abuse against indigenous communities by park authorities and the army.
मेरो संस्था भनेको नेपालका आदिवासीहरुको मानवाधिकार सम्बन्धी वकिल समूह हामीलाई के भन्छ काठमाडौँमा बस्दाखेरि एकदम राम्रो छ चितवनमा सबैको समस्या समाधान गर्यौं भनेर उनीहरुले रिपोर्ट निकालेछ अब यो समस्या समाधान भयो छ कि छैन हामीलाई थाहा छैन त्यही भएर आज हामी तपाईहरु कहाँ बुझ्न आएको छौं त्यो माछा मारेर तपाईले जीविका चलाउँदाखेरि र अहिलेमा गाह्रो अप्ठ्यारो कस्तो छ?
हाम्रा रीतिरिवाज उहिलेदेखिको माछा मार्न जाँदाखेरि मेरो सानैमा बितेर हामी यसरी माछा मार्न आएको सर छोडिदिनु भनेर भन्दाखेरि त माछा मार्न आएको तिमीहरूले गैँडा तस्करी गर्न आएको खुर्कै यहाँ गाडीमा बस नत्र भने गोली ठोक्छ भनेर भन्यो है।
A key element of Shankar Limbu's work with these communities is educating them about their rights.
आर्मी तपाईहरु कहाँ आयो, माछा मार्दै गर्दाखेरि तपाईहरुसँग लाइसेन्स छ, तपाईहरुलाई कसरा लग्यो, तपाई के भन्नुस् भने यो ऐन पल्टाउनुस्, पहिले राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्ज को ऐन पल्टाउनुस् र त्यसको दफा 5 नम्बर, कति नम्बर? मेरो हात सम्झिनुहुन्छ? त्यो औँला कतिवटा छ? 10 नम्बरमा माछा मार्न अनुमति लिनुपर्ने। तपाईले गएर हात जोड्नु यो तपाईको अधिकार हो। अधिकारको लागि हात जोड्ने होइन, अधिकार भनेको लडेर लिने हो।
Limbu believes the army has no place within Nepal's national parks.
When the national park was established, they used army, and the army killed number of people at that time, and they also raped the women. So the national park is, in the context of indigenous peoples, what they say is a colonization, because they lost their land, even they don't have a right to live here, and they don't have a right to life here.
The Nepalese army denies being responsible for abuses against indigenous people, telling 101 East the allegations are baseless, and that all personnel, if found guilty, are treated as per the law. Last year, a Nepalese court sentenced a sergeant to 25 years in prison for killing a tribal man. The army states it is trying to improve its relationship with communities bordering the park, focusing on outreach and education.
Hello, namaste. Hello, namaste.
Meanwhile, the fight to save the country's wildlife continues. Authorities say every animal counts.
In which condition did you rescue her? They were found alone in the jungle without its mother. Since the mother did not show up, we decided to rescue them because we could not leave them alone for a long time, because they might die of dehydration or the deprivation of food, or they might be killed by predators also. And we have been counting these rhinos every 5 years, and every number counts for those endangered species. So we cannot afford to lose a chance to save the rhino.
A few hours later, the team gets an urgent call about a trapped rhino deep inside Chitwan.
पहिला दलौलमा कस्तो खाले फस्या हो के दाँतै गर्नुपर्ने हो कि पुस हैन दाँत गरेर उ गरेर तान्न पर्ने हो कि त्यति पुस गरे उनी खाले हो
हात्ती त्यही राख्नु
अनि त्यही राख्ने भन्न त हात्ती त
The team sets out on elephant back to rescue the trapped animal. 34 wild rhinos died in Chitwan last year due to natural causes, with many drowning in flash floods.
So this is one of the most common reasons for rhino death in Chitwan National Park. So luckily this one has been traced, and hopefully we can successfully rescue that one.
To reach the rhino, the elephants must cross a river in heavy post-monsoon flow. Luckily for us, they know how to swim.
They're over there, right?
Just as we're about to reach the rhino, the presence of the elephants spur it into action, and it pulls itself out of the swamp.
Oh, wow. Okay. There's 3 elephants here, and there's about 1, 2, 3, 4
5 others in that direction, and all of these have been deployed to save just one animal. Our expedition makes clear the amount of effort that goes into protecting Nepal's vulnerable species. Once almost poached to extinction, today this rhino is a clear symbol of the country's conservation success. Significant challenges remain, especially for indigenous groups struggling with human-wildlife conflict and loss of livelihood. But as the world tries to reverse historic biodiversity loss, this small Asian nation, with its thriving animal populations and community forests, is a powerful example that progress is possible.
East Timor is a staunchly Catholic nation, but scandals involving high-profile priests plague the church.
All of us girls there, we were all abused.
Yet some of the country's top leaders openly stand by the clerics, even after one was sent to prison. 101 East investigates East Timor's priest scandals on Al Jazeera. What constitutes exemplary journalism?
Accuracy. I want you to start with just the facts. Run us through what happened as you know.
Independence.
We want peace, we want education.
I want freedom. We don't have freedom in this country.
Impartiality.
They are asking for women to get 50% representation in the Constituent Assembly here in Chile.
Accountability.
To be clear, for the audience's benefit, no intelligence services has claimed that. And you're saying you don't have any reports, but that I should just trust you.
Humanity.
How is the community after the cyclone?
The core values that produce outstanding journalism.
Al Jazeera, integrity in the pursuit of truth.
The latest news as it breaks.
The leaders attending this year's National People's Congress are under pressure to stave off potential unrest and convince the public the Chinese economy is not in decline.
With detailed coverage.
Despite this show of force, many here realize you're...
Good morning and welcome to the AM show. You were waiting for me to go, huh? This is the best breakfast show on the block, and Benjamin can't wait to just tell you about his proverb today. So,
what makes you think that? It's not like I'm just waiting to spew my proverb.
Yeah.
But you know the new name for the show?
Tell me.
It's the Sweetie and Benjamin show.
Oh, I like that.
It's our show.
Yes.
It's our show. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I love your outfit this morning. You're looking all African with a dash of... Wait, is that a belt?
No, it's not.
It's part of, like, frills for the dress.
Yeah, it's part of the...
Thankfully today, when I decided to go this way, I was hoping you wouldn't do anything orange. So it's okay. It's okay. I see you with your blue and whatever.
It's okay.
I chose to be
Tomorrow, I hope
like an orange
don't
today.
Get back to... Yeah, you look good. Who's been sewing for you?
This one is from a different outfit. It may be from Catherine Garments, if I remember correctly.
Right. Benjamin.
But yes, we're going to serve you our proverbs this morning. She may be stuck. I am confessing on her behalf. She may, but let's see whether she'll be able to redeem herself. For mine, I'll share this with you. Inso ta ponchenia oje wo. Inso eta ponchenia oje den wo. In other words, aponcheni the frog. So if you keep doing certain things that someone finds uncool and you keep up, the person may keep boiling, simmering to the point where there's an overflow. Our politicians could learn from that because they keep doing certain things to the people, and someday the people might just get fed up and kick you out through the right channels. And it also applies to animals. Have you noticed how if you pester animals enough, even the most patient, for example, I've seen donkeys, some of the most docile animals on the planet, attack their owners for whipping them too hard or mistreating them.
Yeah.
So even pets, what did you want to do? At some points, they either give you a paw or something. So that's it.
So I
It's same
must
with us.
confess that I didn't originally have a problem. But, because
But now you do.
Yeah, you just gave me an idea. I'm just going to explain the meaning of my name. Abochi. It's a full name. The extended version is Abochi Mahamivia. Which means that even if you're gulping water down with speed, it can choke you.
It can choke you.
So don't think that it's as soft as water and so you can easily gulp it down. So don't underestimate me.
I guess it also points to patience, right?
Yes.
Be patient with whatever you do.
With whatever you do.
You should watch some people eat. You would think the food,
So
food will get finished in.
Honestly, do not think that the people, the citizens, can be fan-fooled all the time. Because one day, just like you said, we might revolt against you and we will choke.
Someday you'll choke.
Yes.
You'll gag.
That's
anyway.
how we're welcoming you to the midweek edition of the Benjamin and Sweetie show, huh?
Yeah.
I like that.
Whichever way, Sweetie and Benjamin and
that.
Sweetie.
Yeah.
We come and do the do. But anyway, stay with us. Up next, she'll be serving you the news. And right after that, the news review, courtesy of political scientist, director of the Center for European Studies, Dr. Kwame Asasante.
And then we'll get into AM Sports. You know, Mufta Nabil, of course, will be here to bring you all the latest updates in the world of sports.
After that, we get into our big stories. And first on the bill, government is set to launch the Ghana Apprenticeship Program. And there's a training program initiated by the Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, COTVET, as we call them. And it's implemented by, guess what? District-level coordinators of the Ghana Education Service in close partnership with craft-specific trade associations. We'll bring you details of that later on the show.
Also coming up, we've got a conversation on lithium and its exploration in Ghana. Remember the lithium deal? Well, is there a way governments can maximize this mineral and its benefits? Our guest will be Dr. Stephen Blessinaka, who is Executive Director of Ghana Gold Expo. He'll be joining us later on the show to get into the nitty-gritties of lithium.
Well, I'm especially interested in that conversation about how we deal with our lithium. We've dealt with gold, diamonds. How about lithium? What are we going to do with it? Stay tuned for that. But then later, we'll host the National Commission for Civic Education. It is developing a compact for Ghana's political and economic transformation. Together with a center, the African Center for Economic Transformation, the NCCE will undertake citizens' engagements around the country. We'll be hosting Kathleen Addy. She'll be telling us a lot more about that later on the show.
And on Citizens Microphone today, doctors at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital say they will be embarking on an indefinite strike over what leadership describes as harassment and persistent orders to move out of their Danyame residences in Kumasi. So JoyNews is reliably informed that many of these doctors have received notices asking them to move out of the official bungalows because they have been sold out. More later on the show.
Now, if you do that, where do the doctors reside and how do they deliver healthcare, especially considering the state of the Komfo-Anokye
And the very
teaching
essence
hospital?
of bungalows is so they can live near the hospitals and, diligently do their duty.
Yeah. So we'll be getting into that. Now, 92% of women-led businesses in Ghana have never exported. That's according to a report. We'll be bringing you some details of that as well. Stay with us. We'll be back on the AM show.
This Wednesday on the Joy Business Van, House Startup Emmanuel Alama is encouraging the patronage of the Ghanaian snack, equally Adunle or Atipupui, depending on which part of the country you hail from.
So I remember I came home one weekend and I saw that my sister was doing Adunle, and then donuts, those local snacks. So I tasted the Adunle. I said, oh, this tastes really nice, not like the local one that we know, but I think it's advanced. It tasted so good. So I took them to school to my roommate to taste, and they really loved it. And they were like, oh, Ella, sell Adunle in school. I was like, hey, Adunle is a local snack. I mean, how am I going to sell it in school? So I got the idea to go look for a nice paper pouch and then like this to do it.
But Ella has an even bigger dream.
And we want to be the major supplier of snacks in Ghana and beyond.
The Joy Business Van this Wednesday on TV, radio, online and on the ground, powered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank. A better way, a better Africa, and MTN, what are we doing today?
The race to Jubilee House is on. Ghana is at a crossroads.
It's time again for the people to choose, and the world is watching.
In a nation where every vote counts, every voice matters, there's one name you can trust for your election coverage.
JoyNews, election headquarters. A team of seasoned journalists will bring you up-to-the-minute updates and biased analysis and the stories behind the headlines.
Your election headquarters brings you JoyNews 2024 election.
The election headquarters for an informed electorate. JoyNews, independent, fearless, credible.
This is the AM News on the AM Show. Let's begin with the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, where Doctors Association have declared an indefinite strike following what they describe as forceful ejection from the hospital's accommodation. Consultants and specialist doctors occupying the facilities in Danyame Enclave say they are facing threats from a private developer seeking to eject them after serving a one-week notice. The association says the strike is to demand the government's swift intervention. Nana Boache Yadom reports.
Medical doctors at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital say they are embarking on an indefinite strike for what leaders describe as harassment and persistent efforts to move out of their Danyame residence in Kumasi. The doctors on Tuesday concluded on the industrial action to demand the relocation of their bungalows despite claims that it has been sold out. Dr. Michael Leet is the president of the Cath Doctors Association. He explains the frustration of the affected doctors.
Some doctors in the Nyame residence are supposed to be evicted. I mean, this has been ongoing for about a year now. And as an association, we've suggested some measures to management, but we see this to be beyond our hospital management, in that, I mean, they are not the owners of the land per se. So some of our doctors have been given an eviction, they've been given notice to evict their accommodation units within a week. Some have had their water supply cut off. Some have been walled in.
According to him, the doctors at the hospital will lay down their tools to seek access to their accommodation.
We have close to about 20-something doctors plus other staff of the Confanoch and other doctors from other hospitals. So we thought it wise that if you are being evicted, then we meet and decide as a group what is the next step. And what came out, the unanimous decision was to lay down our tools tomorrow by 6 a.m. and then go and look for accommodation.
Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei Mensah says the allegation of ejection are untrue. He wants the affected doctors to provide evidence to support their claims.
If I hear somebody saying that we've given him 1 week to vacate his bungalow or something, they should produce the letter so that we know the author of that letter. Whoever wrote that letter to them, we want to know. And also, we've had an agreement with the contractor that before they move anybody, they have to rent a place for the person for a period of 2 years, by which time we will be sure we will be done with the structures we are putting up. And they should produce the letter that is giving them an ultimatum of 1 week. They should provide that letter to me. And we've said that no developer should move anybody without a rented alternative accommodation.
The minister indicated the government is constructing bungalows to accommodate several doctors within the region.
Originally, we decided to do 200, but now we've reduced it to 180 because we are sure that the 180 will be enough for all those that we are going to relocate. And location is one site, that is one contractor's site. And here we have more than 30 structures. As you can see, most of them are above 80% complete. Only few will be around maybe 75.
For JoyNews, now watch Dankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
Now, the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has dismissed claims that the country is facing a power crisis. He says the current situation is a temporary supply challenge which they're working to fix. He also insists the NPP government has managed the power sector in the country despite the debt inherited. There's more in the following report.
Despite mounting concerns over persistent power outages in certain parts of the country, sparking fears of a return to the power crisis of the past, Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh reassured the public that such a situation is not imminent.
When it comes to electricity, we've been challenged for some time. Before His Excellency got into office, we faced a situation where we literally had 3 days of 1 day or half day of electricity.
Is that what you call Dumso?
That is the only Ghanaian.
That's the only Ghanaian word I know.
We moved from Dumso, brother. We moved from Dumso. We are at the situation called DCC.
These remarks were made by the minister during the main edition of Africa Energy Technology Conference held in Accra. Dr. Opoku Prempeh used the opportunity to raise concerns about the energy management and transition in Africa.
Even now that we are all aware of energy transition, we are still thinking about produce and export. Not produce and utilize enough capital. Not a single country in Africa. Think about Africa, that country that is in. their expo shows and things. It's always how much can we export. Check. It's called expo. Never use. So
the concerns by the energy minister were amplified by one of the panel members and advocated a positive mindset towards leadership to make Africa better.
Until we come to the conclusion that leadership is a sacrifice and people are seen to be making sacrifices when they are in positions of authority, Africa will continue to be where it is.
The Africa Energy Technology Conference held in Accra highlighted Africa's potential as a key player in the global energy market. Samuel Mbura, Joy News.
Now, 2 people are feared dead in 2 separate accidents at a spot close to the Odan Bridge near Esereso in the Bosomtwe district of the Ashanti region. A middle-aged man was reported dead after he was knocked down by a hit-and-run driver. 2 hours later, driver of a Kia Rio salon car was pulled out unconscious after his car plunged into the Odan River. Residents of Esereso, who are also angered by the development, want authorities to introduce safety measures on the stretch, which is under construction.
Residents of Esereso were Tuesday exposed to 2 fatal accidents on the Lake Road. A 50-year-old man and resident of Esereso, identified only as Charles, was killed by a hit-and-run driver at about 2 p.m. on Tuesday. 2 hours later, a Kia Rio car plunged into the Odan River at the same spot. A large crowd gathered on the Odan Bridge as personnel of the fire service and police supervised the removal of the vehicle from the river. Residents say the spot has gained notoriety for motor accidents. They want authorities to institute safety measures to save more lives. First is the assemblyman for Esereso East Electoral Area, Amwatin Opoku Emmanuel.
This one is too pathetic. I've never experienced such before with this pathetic 2 accidents. I can say it's something that is normal. For now, we are calling for the contractor to come and build something which is going to guide the river to make the road safe for now.
Accident didn't kind this macrana I say the boy radem paisen ka job be ya kwana mai se be da accident dey be sensible area dey no papa no netifie.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Ohime Interior reporting.
In other stories, National Youth Organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Salam Mustafa, has stated that the party will win the 2024 general elections. Speaking at the party's Regional Youth and Tertiary Students Confederacy in Wa, he added that the party will pull all its arsenals together and campaign vigorously to ensure that the NDC and John Mahama do not come to power. Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The New Patriotic Party Upper Regional Youth Wing and Tertiary Students Confederacy First Conference brought together members from all 11 constituencies and tertiary institutions in the region. It was held on the theme Breaking Barriers to Break the AIDS. National Youth Organizer of the NPP, Mustafa Salam, enumerated projects and programs initiated by the NPP administration which have positively impacted on the lives of the people, comparing the record of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and that of former President John Mahama, the former, has outperformed him, stating that Ghana is not an experimental lab.
We have a better candidate with a better track record, with better integrity, with better credibility. He's incorruptible. He's much better and ahead of his opponent, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. A clean character as against John Mahama that we all know that is what I claim of his corrupt status. So it is trite to say that Ghanaians just want a leader who would work in their interest, not a leader that we have tried before and failed, who has gone home to sit and say that he has seen his mistakes and now he's coming to correct them. Hello, please. Ghana is not an experimental lab. This is serious business. We're talking about the lives of people. So it's serious. We don't want jokes.
Salam Mustafa disclosed that the MPP is bent on breaking the 8-year political cycle. Hook or crook?
I am absolutely confident that by hook or crook we are going to win the elections in December. I am telling you, I have no fear at all. By hook or crook, yes, we are going to win these elections. We are all out for it. We are going to campaign like we have never done before. I said it. That's why I'm extremely confident of our victory. Nothing is going to stop it.
Our senior youth organizer of the MPP, Hamid Mahamasana, noted that the conference serves as the beginning of the resolve to breaking the 8 and 8-party supporters to unite to achieve total victory.
As we embark on this journey together, let us embrace the spirit of collaboration, support one another, and work together collectively. I believe that each of you here possess the potential to make in your communities and beyond.
And Assistant Secretary to President Akufo-Addo, lawyer Hamida averred that the only person who could lead the country into prosperity and build on the good works of President Akufo-Addo is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and call on Ghanaians to vote massively for him to win the 2024 polls.
Behind me on the banner, I see breaking barriers to break the 8, to build the future together. It is possible. I see none other than my own big brother, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the man who is set to do what Ghana has never experienced before. We cannot trust the governance, the effective governance of this country for that matter, into any other hands but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So come December 7th, 2024, we must all endeavor and make sure that we vote for none other but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Send Ghana is worried about the emerging trend where cocoa farming is becoming unattractive to many young people. According to them, cocoa remains one of the essential foreign exchange earners for Ghana's economy. Senior Programs Officer at Send Ghana, Harriet Nuama Ajiman, who raised this concern, said it is worrying that the existing traditional farming methods are deterring the country's youth from cocoa farming.
Ghana's cocoa industry, long hailed as the backbone of the nation's economy, has been facing a major labor force challenge. Ghana's thriving tradition is losing its appeal to the youth due to a multitude of factors. Findings from the gender-responsive research by Send Ghana suggest that the youth do not have much interest in cocoa farming. According to the programs manager for Send Ghana, Harriet Nuama Ajiman, traditional farming techniques passed down through generations are proven to be a significant deterrent for young farmers.
You know, farming itself is not attractive to young people these days because we are still using our local implements. Farming is still rudimentary for most people, and people don't want to exert so much energy these days into farming. That is one. Two, when it comes to paying cocoa farmers for the work they have done, buying their beans, sometimes the payment is in arrears because the licensed buying companies must have enough money to take the cocoa and pay, and sometimes they don't have the money So they come to you, they take one bag, give you money for one bag, and you have probably 20 bags, and you need money to survive. So it doesn't really encourage the young people to produce the cocoa and keep it, and then the payment is done in pieces. When you have money being paid in that manner, you are not able to really do much investments, and then the inputs are not adequate as it should be. From another conversation we had with farmers, for instance, Cocoa Board will provide fertilizer, chemicals, and farmers will have to share the chemicals. And somebody said, well, they bring the chemicals and then we share it in tots. They will put a tot, so you don't get the quantity that you really need for your farm. In that case, your basic need at that time is not even being met as a farmer, because if you need 10 bottles and you are giving only one, you have to go and buy the 9. And if you don't have the money to buy the 9, it means your cocoa trees will suffer. And so that does not really encourage most young people.
The research also identified a positive trend in resource distribution in cocoa growing communities, with a focus on benefiting women and children. Notably, revenues from cocoa are being reinvested in critical areas such as education, water, health, and agriculture across almost all communities.
From our assessment, we realized that, well, assemblies receive revenue and they also generate revenue, even though they don't really consider that to come from cocoa. A few thought that, well, their common fund has embedded in that revenue from cocoa, and then from their own internally generated fund, they get some money from the cocoa value chain, and that they have used to contribute to the development of public services in their localities. It's all about having a potable source of water, drinking water, because most of these communities have streams. That is wholesome. They are trying to get treated water to drink, and that is why water is on top of their chart as their most felt need, their basic need. And water is linked to health, and so once they address their water use, they are also addressing the health needs of the people. Once you are taking wholesome water, some diseases will be reduced or eliminated, and so it's very important they put their monies to that.
In light of these pressing concerns, organizations like Senona are sounding the alarm bells, urging policymakers and industry players to address the underlying issues facing the cocoa sector.
And that will be all for the AM News on the AM show. Up next is the news review, and political scientist and director of a Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asa Asante, is our guest. Please stay with us.
Across Africa, a new era has begun, shifting our focus to a new horizon, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. Today, we are making a brighter tomorrow, built by our dreams and our energy. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future. A Pan-African future. Together. EcoBank. A better way. A better Africa.
Are you to start freedom? Are you gone? You can't stop freedom.
A goal to every resident in our vibrant regions. Brace yourself for an unforgettable and transformative journey with Nana Kwame Bediako as he embarks on the groundbreaking regional listening tour. From bustling cities to the serene landscapes of Ghana, say hello to a leader who genuinely listens to your concerns, dreams, and hopes for a better community and country. A leader who is ready to get things moving again with you and by you.
Nana Kwame Bediako, banga sankasa, bae, bona, yena zoa, ngwanan oliba.
He's coming live and colored to your communities. Get ready. It's your time to be heard.
News is important. It's the only way you get to know the things that happen around you, what affects you today and the future. At JoyNews, we have reporters scattered around the country who tell us about the communities they live in, the people and their stories. The key part of our job here at JoyNews is to make clearer the muffled voices in every part of society. We shine light on the issues. My name is Aisha Ibrahim, and this is JoyNews. Independent, credible, and fearless.
My name is Albert Sori in the Upper East Regional Capital, Bolgatanga, and this is JoyNews. Independent, fearless, credible.
I am Anas Sabit on the principal streets of Tichiman, and this is JoyNews. Independent, fearless, and credible.
In Ghana, when there's a fire, people are more likely to call a radio station than a fire station. They believe the media will succeed where our institutions have failed. That is a huge responsibility for any journalist to shoulder. Thankfully, at JoyNews, we are more than journalists. We are agents of development. We are champions of change. We don't just report the problem, we help define solutions. We are JoyNews, home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. My name is Araba Kumsin.
When something happens, you want to know all about it immediately. Here at JoyNews, we don't just bring you the breaking stories. We go beyond them to bring you the intricate issues in those developing stories. We are relentless in our probe, detailed in our search, and our commitment to be your most credible news source is one that you can trust, because news is all about you. JoyNews, credible, independent, and fearless.
Stories, that's what we tell each other every day. At JoyNews, we tell your story. You have a story the world should know about? Tell it to JoyNews. We are your home of bold, credible, and fearless journalism. I am Emefa Apau.
Bold, credible, and fearless journalism. That is what we stand for. Duty bearers and citizens know that they'll be asked the hard questions to bring out the truth. That is what we expect of us. It is this commitment to tell truth to power that sets us apart, because we will hold the feet of leadership to the heat of accountability. My name is Evans Mensah, and this is JoyNews. Fearless, independent, and credible.
Welcome back. It's time now for the news review, and it's brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And they say it's going to be the end to your chronic disease. But here's what they are offering for you. If you're a man, they're offering you prostate screening for free. Free. You won't pay anything. If you're a woman, they're offering you fertility screening as well for free. Just make your way to any of their branches here in Accra. At Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama and Zama. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review right here, and we're pleased to bring you. He is a political scientist, also director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He joins the conversation. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
Good to have you. Now, as always, I'm going to give you your 2 minutes or so. Share your thoughts on anything very pertinent that you'd like to share. Now, for me, I don't know whether this will serve as a guide. I know you have your own point, but for me, two things. The way we've organized the All-African Games and the sums of money, over 200 million that we claim to have spent on it. And I'm not talking cedis, I'm talking dollars, right? And the showing on the medal table. Then you also consider the fact that facilities, basic facilities that our athletes need, they didn't have. Some of them said they were getting these a day before their events. Someone was given a shoe size of 36 when the person dons 47. All kinds of chaotic stuff. So you ask yourself, was it the show of organizing the event or building our athletes to dignify our country? So that is one. The other bit is Dumso. It's becoming very erratic. Recently, I listened to Samuel Dubik Mahama, the managing director of the electricity company of Ghana. And you can feel his pain, but there are also things being hidden. And it's not just to do with ECG, because they are just, distributors. They are down the chain. The production of electricity, the lack of funding, the lack of fuel to turn the turbines and all of that. All of those are in there. People are saying, give us a schedule, give us a timetable, because right now it's practically Dumso, but the term is being avoided like the plague. These are two things on my mind, but what is on your mind?
Yeah, I think I share your concerns, but I'll depart a little to the sub-region and look at an equally disturbing issue, and I'll go to Nigeria.
Right.
I am not happy about the events in northern Nigeria.
Oh, the kidnapping?
Yes.
The 300 or so.
Yes. And it's the latest. And if you look at the fact that you are talking about kids who people have come pick them and taken them to where we have no idea. A few years ago, you and I witnessed what happened in Chibok, the Chibok girls, and the rest of them. It is a big worry, and that these are people who are going to be leaders of Nigeria one day. And people are now taking them, have a field day, taking them, go and hide them, and do all manner of things to them. What are they living in the minds of those children? The pain is going to be indelible. It's going to create all manner of psychological problems for these young people who have been abducted. I am so surprised that the Nigerian government is sitting down for this thing to happen. Nigeria is the fourth best armed forces. They have the fourth of the best armed forces in Africa. It is about the 35th in the international system. They have all the military power. Nigeria Army has engaged in all manner of operations, difficult ones, and they have emerged as what great soldiers and all that. I'm not sure this is out of their reach. And if everybody will go against Nigeria Army, I support them because I know the army and what they stand for and what they can do.
But maybe the question, Doc, is the political will there?
That is what I'm coming to. That what is preventing Nigeria government for supporting this great army to defeat these people once and for all? I am so surprised. It is not the army. I must say, it should be a problem with government. And that shows the weak capacity of the government to what? Resource its military and then let them work the way they ought to work. Because I believe if Nigeria army is giving all that they need, I can tell you in no time they will root out these criminals from the system. It's so worrying. And my fear is that, if this thing is not kept, it's likely to have effect in neighboring countries and then the sub-region and all that. And I believe, and I will urge Nigerian government, that they should do everything within its power to be able to support the Nigerian army and then root out these criminals from the system. It's very, very unfortunate. It's not safe to be in that place. But where do the people go? Their own land. They are there. They are not at peace. All right. We vote government into office to take care of our lives and our property, and we will obey. Obedience to the state is compulsory simply because of the social contract that government will protect us and we will obey. All right. If this thing breaks down, where do we go? It's unfortunate. Nigeria government should do the needful.
All right. They have to sit up, most definitely. And it always breaks my heart when these things happen because, like you said, there's that, as students of politics, we know, there's that social contract where historically people have ceded their power to a certain nucleus of people to manage affairs. And on the other hand, they also are given certain responsibilities and rules and regulations they must abide by. But if that social contract is broken, and look at Africa, that is why some people would even point to the 1992 Constitution and say that in there, you are supposed to guarantee our livelihoods, even economically speaking. We must have jobs to do and all of that. It may be a stretch taking it to court, right? But it is there. You must safeguard the economic, privileges of the people. But government in and out and country here and there, they fail to do that. Sometimes you ask yourself, so what do you do in the end? Because I don't, like you mentioned, the Chibok girls, that situation. And the sad thing, they would usually take girls, a lot of them, and you know what happens? They end up raping a lot of them, indoctrinating them. They become wives too early, and these are young girls, teens.
They brought some of the
others.
girls with babies,
Yes.
with babies. Very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate. And that's my fear, because as a journalist and somebody who has worked for, International Club of Children's Rights, I believe that this is a call to duty. I must speak on this matter.
Thank you so much for sharing your passionate thoughts about that. Let's get into the papers now. The Ghanaian Times, they say they are the most authoritative newspaper. Nkwanta communal conflict. Lay down arms, engage in dialogue. OT Regional Minister Designate appeals to feuding factions. Then there's Telecel brand officially launched in Ghana. Vodafone is becoming Telecel. And then NDC government will investigate land looting in Ga-Adangbe area. Ex-President Mahama says so. As for the land and the buildings that have been sold, those ones, time and again, only God knows. President opens maiden Africa Energy Technology Confab in Accra. And there's, in sports, Ministry of Youth and Sports dismisses claims over late arrival of equipment. Oh, sir. So our athletes are lying. That's what you're saying. I'll get into that story shortly. I find it difficult that the athletes will lie just so when they failed in their disciplines or something of the sort. Accra Lions aim to deepen Kotoko's woes. And Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Krobia Kumasi Asante Kotoko, my team, yes. They are, in their quest to bounce back from last weekend's defeat to Kerala United, will face off with in-form Accra Lions in their Week 21 Bet Power Ghana Premier League fixture at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium today in Kumasi. And it remains to be seen whether Asante Kotoko will be able to deliver. But let me get to this story. The Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, has dismissed claims by some members of the team that is going to
at the ongoing African Games that they did not receive equipment and kits for their respective events. He was responding to claims by a section of cyclists and badminton players that they were affected by the lack of equipment to train adequately for them to compete. Now, at a press conference organized by the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the local organizing committee in collaboration with Team Ghana Federation heads, Mr. Yusuf stated that the complaints of the athletes were untrue. We requested from the various federations the type of equipment they needed for the games. When they submitted the list, we went through with them before procuring and delivering to them. In some cases, we chased the athletes for their sizes, and it took forever to get these requests for them. There are timelines to meet to get these gear and equipment down to Ghana. So sometimes the challenges don't come from the sports ministry or the LOC. Furthermore, some of these federations take the items and instead of giving them to the athletes, they take it and do not hand them over to the athletes. He said, this makes no sense to me. You are preparing your athletes. If someone is not abiding by what must be done and you know they are not going to perform, what do? Do you still go ahead and enlist them, knowing very well that they don't have what is right to go there? And this whole bit about some of the federations will take their stuff and not deliver to them. So what do you do as a sports ministry? We always want to find excuses like, and how about, Mr. Sports Minister, you organize the opening ceremony, event, and you are charging 150 cedis. Ordinary, stand, 150 cedis in this economy. When you could have made it practically free, at least for the opening ceremony. So you see how many people were in the stadium for the opening ceremony. Beautiful opening ceremony, but how many people were there? What picture does that paint? I mean, what thinking? But I'll have time for this in my blunt thoughts on Friday. It's one of the areas I'll tackle. Doc, I know you are passionate about sports. I feel there's a whole lot going wrong, going ill with our sports. What's your take?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate we are reading stories like this. The ministry should come clean on this. If there's a problem, let us know. If you have done something wrong, admit it and then correct it immediately. We move on. And going forward, let's plan and plan well so that we can ensure value for money. We struggle to get resources, and this is an opportunity to showcase our country, our culture, and then our sports. So we can fail. I believe that we have to have this thing at the back of our minds and work at it. The ministry should come again and should come again.
Lay down arms, engage in dialogue. OT Regional Minister Designate appeals to feuding factions. So that story is supposed to be right. I thought it was page 3, but it's rather page 8. All right, so let's get there. Feuding factions on the communal conflict at Nkwanta in the Nkwanta South Municipality of the OT region have been called upon to lay down their arms and engage in dialogue to settle their differences amicably. Now, the OT Regional Minister Designate, Deputy Superintendent of Police, retired Daniel Machato, who made the call, said development of the region depended on peace as a prerequisite for progress, and therefore imperative that all chieftaincy disputes were addressed amicably for a conducive environment to spur development in the OT region, to spur on development. And so that's the story. And then Telecel, a leading telecommunications brand in Africa, has officially launched in Ghana to provide innovative telecommunications solutions to connect and empower customers and communities across the country. In February 2023, Telecel Group successfully completed the acquisition of 70% shares of Ghana Telecommunications Limited to become its majority shareholder, with the government of Ghana holding a minority share of 30%. So I guess that's the new kid on the block, though it's basically Vodafone transforming or transmogrifying into Telecel. Let me do this last story from page 7, and I'll come to you, Doc, for your reactions. So here we go. NDC government will investigate land looting in Gadangbe area. Ex-President Mahama says so. So the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress in the 2024 elections, John Dramani Mahama, has promised to investigate the looting of lands in Gadangbe when voted into power as president. Among other things, he said he would establish a commission of inquiry to look into lands that were given to the state for specific purposes but had been looted. Interacting with traditional leaders in the Greater Accra region as part of his Building Ghana tour, which started on Monday, he said his promise was in line with the law which enjoins the government to give back lands which were no longer going to be used to serve the purpose for which they were given out. Those are the stories. Any quick reflections on them?
Yeah, I'll start with Nkwanta. It's unfortunate we are having such development. It's a terrain that I know very well, and it's unfortunate that you have, family members fighting among themselves, among the Chala and Achade groups, and some of them. It's very, very unfortunate. It's my hope and prayer that they'll come together, smoke peace pipe, and then restore the peace in that area. That place is a very beautiful place. You will love it, long distance, and the serene, beautiful. On top of this is a notable area for agriculture production. Large, hectares of yam grown there, and other farm products there. And it's also one of the best routes to the north. As soon as you cross the OT, you are in Bimbila, move away to Yendi, the rest of them. You take, Pasar area, then you are moving to the Kitikrachi area. That's a very active commercial area. So I pray that whatever there is the need to do, all those who matter, I'm talking about stakeholders, should put themselves together and make sure that there's peace in that area. I know also that the area also has potential for what tourism. If you go and see the land map, you see forest cover, you see even wildlife, amazing. So I pray that people will quicken their effort and make sure that they restore peace. And I'll plead with the leaders, the chiefs, that they should come together and then fight for peace and then restore that peaceful environment back so that people will live in peace. I'm told that people even attack people on their farms and all that. All these things are worrying situation. I plead with them. I plead with them that they should maintain peace. I will look at the issue of JM saying that when he's giving the mandate, he will look at Gandangbe land, which is being looted with impunity. It's unfortunate we have such development. All right. If you look at Gandangbe lands, the whole city rests on that. It is true that they have ceded some to the state by way of law and compensation. But look, I think that we are giving them a raw deal, that the little that is left with them, people are using all manner of means to take it away from them. It's unfortunate. Sometimes too, there is also a problem from the traditional authorities, some of them, who also do not appropriate these things properly, and it creates all manner of problems for the state. I am particularly worried about the situation where state officials connive with other people within the industry to sell state properties to themselves. Very, very, very unfortunate. If you acquire land and you are not using it, from the era of Professor Kasim Kasaga, we realize that it must be given back to the owners. Why are they delaying? And why are you, creating that problem? It is unfortunate. We must know that, look, the people of Ga and Gandangbe region have really supported the effort of this country a lot. Look at the land that we set on at UJ and other places and all that. They've supported this country a lot. So the little that is left for them, that is by law, must be given to them, we should not find ways of taking it away from them. And then one thing that also hurt me is Ben, do you know the reason why Cape Coast was the capital of Ghana, which was in Cape Coast, was moved to Accra? The main reason, or one of the reasons, let me put it that way, is because the place was so neat and it was so close to mountains, the Kwapum Ridge, which is also healthy. So they decided to move the state to here. Today, what do we find? We have destroyed this place. Most of the places is filthy and the rest of them. In spite of the president's own promise, we have not seen a thing relative to what we are seeing now. It is my hope and prayer that we would do all it's under our power to be able to restore Accra back to its original state and make sure that land that belong to Ghanaians, they have them. Because it is the only property that they have. When they lose it, that is the end. I will support the call of JM that if Ghanaians are able to give him the mandate, he should walk the talk and make sure that Ghanaians are not deprived of their means of livelihood. It's unfortunate. Maybe the last one I'll touch on is the Telecel Vodafone, changing color to Telecel. It's good. But I want to believe that we will still have the quality of service that we had under Vodafone, and that employment will also be guaranteed. We have a lot of youth who are parading our streets. They finish all manner of schools and they have no job. We want to urge them that direction is also important for us. So they must put in a lot of programs to absorb these people, train those who they need to train them and make use of them. And then we too also, as consumers of their product, we should be faithful to them. They cannot give up their best when we undermine the very industry that is going to feed us. So it takes two to tango. So we must also do our bit to make sure that this business survive in this country.
Let's do the Daily Guide newspaper now. Telecel officially launches in Ghana. We've already been into that. Election 2024, EC shoots down NDC drone operation. And then AG drops charges against Dr. Anemana in ambulance case. You remember that one, I'll get into it. And then there's also NLE boss elected ALA vice president. On the back page, some sporting news. Justice Blade begs Kotoko fans as they host Lions today. Dreams drawn against Stade Malien. Dreams FC have been drawn against Malian giants Stade Malien de Bamako in the quarterfinals of the 2023-2024 CAF Confederation Cup campaign. The draw for the knockout round of the competition was done on Tuesday, March 12, 2024 in Cairo in Egypt. Then, Napoli boss faces fine for pushing cameraman. And Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis could face a heavy fine from UEFA after he pushed a cameraman in an ongoing spat with Italian media. Some things you simply cannot do. But let's do this drone story. So here we go. A plan of the National Democratic Congress to deploy drones to monitor the December general elections has been shut down by the Electoral Commission. The NDC in the Greater Accra region had earlier announced that it would deploy drones during the upcoming general election. The regional chairman, Emmanuel Niashimo, who announced this, said the deployment of drones was part of efforts to secure 2 million votes for the party in this year's elections. Mr. Moore said the aim was to strengthen the NDC's monitoring systems to prevent potential rigging, adding that preparations were well underway to commence the training of constituency executives on how to use the drones to monitor ground activities. However, the EC has stressed that such a move would constitute an invasion of voters' electoral privacy and a breach of security protocols, and thus it will not be allowed. The EC's Director of Electoral Services, Dr. Sribo Kweku, responding to the strategy by the NDC on radio, said the EC had not received official notification from the party regarding the deployment of drones. And the final story. The Attorney General has dropped all charges against Dr. Sylvester Anemana, a former Chief Director at the Ministry of Health who was standing trial alongside Minority Leader Dr. Kasila Forson for causing financial loss to the state. Dr. Anemana was standing trial together with Dr. Forson and private businessman Richard Jakba for willfully causing financial loss of 2.37 million euros to the state through a contract to purchase 200 ambulances for the Ministry of Health, among other charges. This is a story, Doc, I know you are very familiar with. What is your take?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I've not been following the story.
The ambulance one?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that,
but you know the foundation of the story, right? It's been in the news for years.
Yes, but to be honest, I'm not seized with the facts of the matter and all that. So let me move on to look at the NDC drone fair.
Right.
I believe that a program of this nature, you need stakeholders in election to discuss this. It will not be out of place to table it at IPAC, look at it, you discuss. And if stakeholders believe that it is the way to go, why not? Because you see, in election, any attempt at doing something that will mar the process need to be forgotten.
Right.
So I believe that much as it's an innovation and all that, the stakeholders are important in this business. Look at it, of course, with inclusion of the security apparatus, looking at it whether it doesn't invade privacy, whether it affects the electoral process and all that.
Right.
Once you come out with a decision from this group of people and it's right, everybody will defend you at each time. So I believe that this must be tabled, discussed at the appropriate forum, and then let them find what solution to that.
So quickly on that, I agree with both sides. One, it shouldn't be close enough to determine who is voting for whom. That would invade privacy. But on the other hand, consider, for example, what happened in Yendi, right? Imagine we had drones. We probably would have known, because you can't have cameras on every situation. If we did, we probably would have known whether indeed there was a slap by the member of parliament for Yendi or whether the journalist was being untruthful. So there are both angles to look at.
Yes.
And where there are skirmishes, for example, what happened in Techiman South, where some people were unfortunately killed, maybe we could have better footage and know who did what. So there are different angles to the conversation.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that the stakeholders should look at it. Because if it's a good thing, I am not sure that people have the courage to shoot it down. But if it is not, they will also express concern about it. So it must be discussed. You can't throw it away just like that. It must be discussed, and then they find the better. Maybe you would like to operate no closer to where the polling is taking place and the rest of them. All these things will be part of the discussion, so that whatever comes out as what the decision be owned and protected by the people.
All right, so let's wrap with the next few stories. Bank of Ghana predicts 13 to 17% inflation by December 2024. That's in the middle spread of the paper, but the last few papers, and then we can go. I believe I'll just do the New Finder and the Ghanaian Publisher. So there's BDAC strengthens Ghana-India business relations, and there's school farms back government to support with partial grant, land development, seeds, and fertilizer. You see this point. We pictured here is Dr. Brian Echampong. I have said this time and again, when we were in school, we were weeding, we were farming, we were growing our own maize, yam, among other things. We were eating well. Okay, it was, even then when we were complaining about, oh, beans, the oil and this and weevils and the rest, it's not like what we are seeing in our schools today. Why did we even stop this kind of system? And today, our school people, SHS, are going hungry. Let's not even pretend. They are hungry. If parents are sending 100 cedis per week just to supplement, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? You go for cocoa, there's no bread, there's no sugar. What is that? So it's high time we did this, and if we are going back, well, better late than never. And the Ghanaian Publisher, will Baumia also pick a woman? That's the question in there. Pictured there, Irene Natoshi Adolate, Akosia Frema Osei Opare, of course, the Chief of Staff, and then Ursula Owusu Ekofo. Those are the picks there. Those are the stories. Any quick reactions? We have a minute and then we go.
Yeah, you remember, Ben, I did suggest here on this network that we should bring back school farms. You recall?
No, we've had an agreement on that. I don't even know why we stopped that thing.
Yes, and I am happy they are going to do that, but they should walk the talk. Because, growing up as a child at the Kropon PTC Demonstration Junior Secondary School, we had farms. We had big farms, all right? Why can't you do the same? We can, if these things are managed well, you can produce to feed the students, and then you sell some to your neighbors or the neighboring or the communities, where you can raise IGF. They can even go into water production there. produce water.
Look, Doc, you are into this. I'm even thinking some of the schools where the situation is right, maybe location and all, can go into aquaculture, even fish farming. They can do it.
Yes. I said that previously. I said you can start with what you can add fish, that's tilapia, catfish, and then you can go to poultry.
Yeah.
And then depending on the suitability of the land, you can produce certain crops, certain other places you may not have, you exchange them, and then you supply other places. And you can generate IGF, support the school, tell government, don't bring money, let me run these things here, and then use the resources.
Just support us to do these things. And guess what? Especially the students who may be in agric, who may be interested in veterinary, whatever, or maybe animal husbandry. Maybe right from there, they acquire certain skills, and right from secondary school, even before getting to the tertiary level, they are able to do something for themselves. What would that do to unemployment? Because already they are gathering the skills. You can do all of that.
Even here, you can get people who will have even different areas of studies. They are science students and all that, but they will be engaged. I have a friend who went to Denmark to study.
Right.
And he was studying agriculture. And they taught him how to keep books, accounting books. Today, he's a chartered accountant. He's a Fifi Ham. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
That little, course that he took in Denmark today has developed to become the best for him and all that. We can start this. And I'm happy. And it should not be just a mere talk. They should support it and then make sure that it works. And that will be the game changer. We don't need to import anything and then bring toward the schools. We can feed ourselves by feeding on what we produce.
Right. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining the conversation. We are very grateful. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Thank you so much, Doc. Well, here we go. We're getting into sports up next, but this segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Reach out to them at any of their branches. In Accra, at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade Anaji State, Tichiman Hanswa, and Esiama in Zima. If you'd like to give them a call, the numbers are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But sports is up next. Kotoko will be one of those on the radar. Will they be able to redeem themselves in that match today? Stay for sports.
Election headquarters for an informed electorate. JoyNews, independent, fearless, credible.
This Wednesday on the Joy Business Van, how startup Emmanuel Light Amwa is encouraging the patronage of the Ghanaian snack Kuli Kuli Adunle, or Atipupui, depending on which part of the country you hail.
And then donuts, those local snacks. So I tasted that adunle and I said, oh, this thing tastes really nice, not like the local one that we know, but I think it's advanced. It tasted so good. So I took some to school to my roommate to taste, and they really loved it. And they were like, oh, Ella, how about you sell adunle in school? And I was like, hey, adunle is a local snack. I mean, how am I going to sell it in school? So I got the idea to go look for a nice paper pouch and then like this to do it.
But Ella has an even bigger
and we want to be the major supplier of snacks in Ghana and beyond.
Joy Business Van this Wednesday on TV, radio, online and on ground. Powered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank. A better way, a better Africa, and MTN. What are we doing today?
Look at the economic management team. It's quite clearly a fantastic team. Professor Jambafo, Senior Minister Yao Osafo Maf. What a solid team.
This is an unaware government.
It is your essential guide to the pulse of Ghana's democracy. Election Brief offers you a front row seat to the latest updates, in-depth analysis, and comprehensive coverage.
What does this mean? We therefore project it is almost statistically impossible for President John Dramani Mahama to 50% plus one. Our projection is that Nana Addo Dankwa will win the 2016 presidential election.
During the campaign season, I experienced from every corner of Ghana.
The people have met him with excitement and they keep chanting Savior to imply that they believe that he holds the key to the economic fortunes of the country. As Vice President, I am like a driver's mate. But by the grace of God, if you make me the president, I will be in the driver's seat with constitutional.
We dive deep into the strategies, the promises, and the people shaping the future of our country. Election Brief isn't just about the headlines. It is about the voices.
Good morning. Let's do sports now on the AM show with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Tuesday was a very good night for Ghana's under-20 teams. That is the Black Satellites and the Black Princesses. The Black Princesses came from a goal down to defeat Tanzania 2-1, whilst the Black Satellites won 3-1 against the Gambia in match day 2 of the ongoing African Games.
Finds his midfielder, Mahmoud. And here goes Mensah for Ghana, trying to find Misbah, but the keeper makes a mistake. It is Aziz Misbah, Ghana, scores the first goal here at the Accra Sports Stadium. done, and it couldn't have come at a better time for Misbah Aziz. First goal in the match, first goal in the tournament. Chance for Ghana, Sulemana, here is Issa. Issa scores the second for Ghana. Just 3 minutes into the second half. And then Abdul Aziz Issa, who puts his name on the score sheet for the Black Side Ghana. This was the goal they were looking for. Assurance goal to make the second half less difficult for them. This is how it all began. Sulemana had a chance to score. He messed it up. Ball fell to Issa. He took combining with a free hit. That effort got blocked. Can they pull one back, Gambia? And yes, they do. Gambia have pulled one back. It is Ebrima Cisse who just came off the bench. Gambia conceded for the first time in the tournament. Four additional minutes. Ghana can make it 3, and Jerry Friye finally gets on the score sheet. That's a beautiful goal. Classic standards. Jerry Friye, the boy from FC. 3-1 for the Black Starlight of Ghana. That's a celebration to match his goal. The third goal Ghanaians were desperately looking for finally arrived and has come through. The boy who missed a couple of chances before this one. He was given this chance on a silver platter, but he
There were other events that happened, and one of those events was the fact that Abeku Jackson won a bronze medal for the country. That was the 5th medal Ghana has won so far in the ongoing African Games. He's been speaking about the medal that he won, and he also said that Ghanaian athletes have sacrificed so much to represent the country.
Excited for Team Ghana in swimming. I'm excited for all the athletes in swimming. But with them a week or two before the competition, and I know for sure every athlete here is training and giving their best. I know the for Team Ghana in swimming. I'm excited for all the athletes in swimming because I got to train with them a week or two before the competition, and I know for sure every athlete here is training and giving their best. I know the sacrifices that every athlete, even without being in swimming, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's boxing, whether it's football, I know the sacrifices each athlete has to go through, and the discipline and the training and the toughness that comes with it, as long as and also the pressure. And I would like to say that every athlete in Ghana, I'm proud, be it what the result is, because I know how much effort he puts into it, and I'm just happy to be here to participate. Yeah, of course, the fans are important. For us, the fans are important, especially because they're host nation. And just hearing the crowd shouting my name, even while swimming, hearing the crowd shouting my name, I know I'm getting closer to something and pushing forward. And the main goal is to hear the national anthem being played for Ghana and to stand on the podium and to know that you did your best for your country and raise the country's flag high. Yeah, for me, this is always a stepping stone. I mean, it's good to have competitions before the main Olympics. It's good to have African Games, World Championship. I recently just came back from World Championship. Before World Championship, I had a different competition. It's been back-to-back competitions, and it's the way forward, because the more competition, the more experience, the more you're getting into for the main goal Olympics and to qualify for the Olympics. I mean, like I said, it's a stepping stone. My first All-African Games was in Morocco. I managed to be in the finals, top 5, top 4. I was 5th and 4th in individual events, and now it's a stepping stone. Now I'm on the medal podium. Who knows what the next All-African Games will hold for me? But then again, it's exciting to be here. It's exciting to be in the host nation. It's exciting to hear the fans shout for you. It's exciting to hear everyone behind you and supporting my family, my friends, and I just want to say thank you. Not necessarily. For me, I still give my best, because be them being there or not there, for me, it's swimming my own race, and for me, it's to keep winning and keep winning. Be it whoever is there, it's just to swim your own race and give your best. It's always to drop my time. It's always to get into my personal best, drop my time, move forward, qualify for the Olympics, and make my nation proud. The next step for me is to go back to training, see what went wrong, be it medal, 2 medals, 3 medals. There's always something. There's always room for improvement. So I'm going to go back, improve, work on everything I can, and give my best.
Now, let's take a look at some of the events that happened on day 4 of the ongoing African Games.
Closes out. That was out, surely. It's 24-21 now.
This is looking very, 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 very good.
And Neil Byton finished with this one. That should be it.
Over and done with, folks.
That should be it.
25-21.
I think the Kenyans have nicked it. 25-21.
Away they go. Heat 2. The 4 by 100 meters freestyle heats.
And Ethiopia's Mulegeta in lane 7. And they're going into the water already. Very strong swim from the Egyptians. Ghana Suleiman, but is out in lane 3 where Van der Westhuizen is swimming strongly.
Now, let's talk about the Super Bowl now. And Echo, one of the key players in Kansas City, he is currently in town wanting to develop the sport in the country and inspire the young ones who also want to play NFL.
Students of Rockies International School welcomed the NFL star in style. Accompanied by his brother, parents, and Kansas City's teammates, the Super Bowl champion spent some time with the kids for a moment of inspiration. He later took the kids through some NFL tips on the field as a way of building their skills and confidence in the game. Speaking to Joy Sports, Eko Boydo was excited about his trip to Ghana and is already looking forward to the next one.
I just can't thank God enough for giving me this platform to inspire all these kids. So the main reason was because I haven't been back in 21 years since I was born here, to see family and secondly, you know, just to reach out to the kids of Ghana, of Accra, and that's been going really well. It feels awesome. You know, I knew I was going to have that big platform in the Super Bowl, so I wanted to make sure that I brought the Ghanaian flag to represent, just to show love to where I'm from. And I'm glad I did because, you know, I think I got a little bit of attention, which helped me be able to come here and have some connections, some people that I can talk to and, you know, give back. That's definitely going to be my main goal when I come back to Ghana, when I come back to Accra. And I can't wait to, you know, share my knowledge, tell all the little kids what it's really about, and, you know, show them exactly how you play football, the basics of football, so they gain interest in it, and yeah.
Born in Accra, Ghana on November 4, 1999, Eko's family migrated to Lawrence, Kansas in the United States of America when he was young. After receiving an invitation to Kansas City's rookies minicamp, Eko seized the opportunity and entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent with the Chiefs in 2023. He played 6 games in his debut season and then went on to win the Super Bowl championship in 2024.
Now let's take a look at some Ghana Premier League fixtures that will be happening in midweek as the competition enters March Day 22. We have Great Olympics coming up against Kerala United. Brekum Charles will play Ediana Stars. FC Samatex come against Stratumana FC. Asante Kotoko will play Accra Lions, and Dreams FC will play House of Oak. Dreams FC, they were drawn against Stade Malien in the CAF Confederation Cup quarter-final. Tanobo Fakwa that held Accra House of Oak to a 1-1 stalemate in Soccer Cup a few days ago. They will play Heart of Lions. Midiama SC, defending champions of the Ghana Premier League, come against Bechem United, and that game will be on Thursday. We have Real Tamale United versus Bibiani Gold Stars, and Legon Cities will come up against Nations FC. And to Europe, where there was UEFA Champions League football last night, and Arsenal needed to go through a lottery of penalties as they secured 4-2 win over FC Porto after 1-1 aggregate. And Barcelona, they won 3-1 against Napoli to qualify to the quarter-final of the competition.
These two couldn't play each other without a mention for Diego Armando Maradona. Romani has made it 2-1, and Napoli are right back in the tie. Sergio Roberto. Gundogan, beautiful ball, Sergio Roberto and Lewandowski.
Picking out Trossard. Back to Arsenal's captain. Lovely ball. Here's Trossard, and Arsenal are level in the tie. Beautifully worked and expertly finished. Leandro Trossard. Really needs to find the back of the net here. And he has just. It's Declan Rice. The pressure's really on Porto if he puts this away. Oh, and he has! That's a super penalty. 4-2 Arsenal, and this is the 4th Porto penalty. And it's saved by David Raya. Big save, big smile. Arsenal are through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League.
This is our wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Apla. The show continues right after this.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chese na me ankasa me period na se problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chese na nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me mogya mu no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fae no ene ma won kra me enu foforo kwa na me kwan mu a eba
and everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nuru a ene ne ho eden a watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you. Of Acrobato. Hello. Hey, ohwehwe what chair. Okay. A free bra the end point what dance. Ah me call you no. Me Joseph Sema na nkoyie and person my emre nyina and na magina sebema na me no be fear for there the one dey nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
Customer.
Nada bena minka me twa papa. Me twa 10 Ghana.
10 Ghana.
10 Ghana cedis.
Na no dia, say na obenya.
10 Ghana cedis no. Me dia. Maybe 54,000 Ghana cedis.
54,000.
540 million. Here.
£2. Bia e ma dompe soft. Bia the one na me twa me di ehun skasa
keke. Yeah. Ene na giga keka ade tena we. Tena wa boki. Ah, draw no na asase no. Mami me volume.
Wait.
Okay. Aha.
Customer. What?
Hey, make that big phone. Make that you phone. Darling. Star 946 hash. Now that pick 4 numbers. I can draw when one no. 10 Ghana cedis 54. Mario.
Numbers from 0 to 9 up to 3 times daily to become one of our daily lucky winners. Dial star 946 hash to play now. Or you can also play online at www.gamepackgames.com. Game Park is regulated by the National Lottery Authority.
Have you been to Aqua Safari lately? Let me share my experience with you at the new Aqua Safari Resort. When you arrive, you're greeted by warm smiles and introduced to your 24-hour butler who already has your itinerary sorted. Enjoy water sports activities like jet ski rides, kayaking, water sliding, flyboarding, and castnet fishing. You can even have your lunch here on the boat cruise. Experience horseback riding, tennis, and some golfing amongst a host of other activities. Let the tour guides take you through the sceneries of the Volta River, the mangrove forest, the friendliness of the animals, local and exotic birds, while you pet and feed them. You can have this large space for your conferences, corporate retreats, and so many activities as part of the package. We chose to have our breakfast with a beautiful sunrise right in front of our cabin. We had an amazing experience and I can't wait to return for more.
Visit Aqua Safari Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
This Wednesday on the Joy Business Van, how startup Emmanuel Light Amwa is encouraging the pitch of Ghanaian snack kuli kuli, adunle, or atipupui, depending on which part of the country you hail from.
So I remember I came home one weekend and I saw that my sister was doing adunle and donuts, those local snacks. So I tasted that adunle and I said, oh, this thing tastes really nice, not like the local that we know back. I think it's advanced. It tasted so good. So I took some to school to my roommate to taste it and they really loved it. And they were like, oh, how about you sell adunle in school? And I was like, hey, adunle, the local snack, how am I going to sell it for food? So I got the idea to go for a nice paper pouch and then like this to do it.
But Ella has an even bigger dream.
And we want to be the major supplier of snacks in Ghana and beyond.
The Joy Business Van, this Wednesday on TV, radio, online, and on ground. Powered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank. A better way, a better Africa, and MTN. What are we doing today?
Welcome back on the AM show. We get into our big stories, and we've got a conversation coming up on lithium and its exploration in Ghana. How can we maximize the benefits of same? What do we have to do? Well, we'll be bringing you details of that now as we engage our guest, Dr. Stephen Blessing Aka. He's Executive Director, Ghana Gold Expo. Dr. Aka, good morning. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm okay. I could be better, but I hope you're well too.
Yes, very well. Just that it's a bit cold here, but you're fine.
I see. Anyway, so let's get into this whole bit about lithium in Ghana. What is the state from where you sit? I mean, you've been in this exploration, mining exploration, gold and other things. The last time you came here, we were talking more about gold. But when you look at our lithium footprint in Ghana and the deals we've been striking so far, where the lands minister has been touting, what picture do you see?
All right, thank you very much. Yes, I think we need to ratify the historic imbalance and empower Ghanaians to establish this lithium prospect that we have. We are very lucky to identify a lot of the pegmatite bodies in the central region, but we know that the authorization of the global spotlight energy system is set to drive huge increase in the requirement of critical minerals, and Ghana is lucky to be one of these countries that have these minerals. This means that a lot of sectors, such as the energy sector, the transport sector, is going to become, they are going to merge with the minerals market. Ghana is not far in terms of this lithium pegmatite bodies identified just from central region. And if you look at the central region, it's starting from Winneba down to Cape Coast, Sopon, Cape Coast, they are part of the areas that we have identified this. But there are certain things that we have to quickly look at it to make sure that the right thing is done, so that we don't go back to the issues like the gold issue, issues that we've had in the past decade. If you look at the lithium, we are currently pushing and we are asking government that we need to establish the investment fund so that most of these domestic companies that have identified this resource will be able to go into exploration program so that we can maximize profit and also revenue. But what is happening is that we've not seen that yet, and we are currently asking the government that the government should quickly sit down to speak with the Minerals Income Investment Fund, because if you look at the duties or the right of the Minerals Income Investment Fund, they are supposed to, protect the royalties that we have in Ghana. And if these royalties comes, what are we using it for? I mean, we've seen some of the work that Minerals Income Investment Fund is doing, but the critical minerals is very crucial because some countries have decided that they are only going to explore by investing money into exploration. However, they are not going to mine the resource itself. So because it's more critical, because nobody knows what is going to happen in the future. So this is where we are coming in to speak to the government and also to the global front, especially because I am currently here meeting a lot of industry players to discuss some of these opportunities and also to drive in investment into Ghana. Thank you very much.
Let me ask you this very blunt question, especially looking at our experience with exploring other minerals, especially gold. Are we rushing this when it comes to lithium, looking at the deals? Because mind you, the 10% and others that are being bandied about may be slightly better, but other countries for different minerals, including lithium, are getting 30%, north of 40%, right here in Africa. So you ask yourself, if we are getting this and we are celebrating it, are we in a rush just because we are earning a few percentage points more? Are we rushing this?
So this is where it happens. There's something called exploration. As I mentioned, if you look at the deal that was first signed between Atlantic and the state and also the local entity, and the local entity did not do much because they just identified the concession and they didn't go into exploration. So the investor decided to pump more investment into the mine. And once you go into that, it means that at the end of the day, the government may earn 10%, 20%, 30%. And even with that, to me, I don't think in a way it makes sense because other countries are rather doing more of equity, more than royalties. But I think if the government of Ghana decided to go for 10%, we can quickly revisit this and look at what is the issues, what actually happened. Because the first point is there's no exploration fund in Ghana for local companies to go into exploration so that they can bid for higher royalties. So 10% to me is a bit small. The government could have maybe go a bit beyond, but the basis of it is that both government and the local entity did not invest any money into the program. So, of course, the investment company is always going to be that they spent much of the money. If you look at what Atlantic is saying, as Atlantic, according to them, have spent more than $100 million to this stage, even with that development. So this is where I think if we want to look at the prosperity and the security of our critical minerals, exploration is very key. Just yesterday, I received a call from Nigeria that the House of Representatives have passed the second bill to set up the Nigerian Minerals Development Bank. And this is what we are talking about. If you have a development bank or at least you have a fund, then you can bid for equity and you can say, no, I want to do 50% or then investor 50%. But in our case, it didn't happen. So as a media station also, as a stakeholder, in as much as we are looking at we're fighting for a higher percentage, we also look at the issues that is currently happening in Ghana. We don't have any fund to explore any of this.
And it's good, Doc, that you make mention of this. It is good you make mention of it because that's the other angle. There's a third angle I'll be bringing forth. But that's the other angle, because if you don't want to commit yourself to some of the exploration, it technically means that you're also going to be cut short, or you'll get the short end of the stick when it comes to when the mineral is being extracted and all of that. Which then, you mentioned the fund. Should we have some of those systems in place? Some would say that in some cases it makes economic sense. In other cases, it does not. We do not have the wherewithal. But if we keep up like this, we'll keep getting chicken change. And even in that situation, other jurisdictions are still not exploring, but they are saying, listen, if you're going to come and tap into the mineral blessings we have, this is what we're expecting. And they are able to get better deals. How do you respond to that? I do know of that side that says, you go ahead. Go ahead on that. Go ahead on that point. I'll come back.
Let me give you two simple examples. You have Canada. Canada just announced at their PDAC conference that they are going to invest $1.5 billion into exploration program. But let me tell you the adventure about Ghana. In spite of the $1.5 billion that Canada is invested, not into mining, not into the development of mine, into just exploration in terms of building capacity, research, coming up with the big data to be able to confirm all the resources. In spite of all this that Canada is trying to do, the advantage we have is that the logistics that we are going to, we have to put in place is less expensive than that of Canada. Where you identify these resources in Canada is far from the ports. Your lithium concessions is just around the corner in Cape Coast. With a simple jetty, you can easily export this to Takoradi Port, and you are straight to go with the concentrate. So what is making it difficult for government to say that, yes, I'm ready and I want to put in? We are not asking for 1 billion. You just have to put some, at least give a seed capital. And that is why I'm in Monaco at the moment. They are looking at alternative financing. People are looking at family offices, wealth management, equity fund. And most of these people, they will only come when they see that there's a fund available. You understand? The second thing is Australia. Australia is the biggest, producer of critical minerals. 51% of this sector is spending more than $2 billion into exploration, not also into the mine. They are just looking at what does the future state. Because let me just, as you mentioned, the gold sector, small-scale mining sector contributes, if well established, $3 billion per annum. It means the revenue that generated from the small-scale sector in Ghana is way higher than the total revenue generated from the oil and gas. So if you have a sector, and you should also understand that doing small-scale mining doesn't involve huge money. But you see, we are just becoming talkers. We are always talking. How can a Nigeria who doesn't know anything about mining just even go to Parliament and state that, yes, they want to set up a Nigerian development, a mineral development bank? What are we doing? We have an issue with complaining about the royalties, but at the end of the day, government can only earn 10% because government did not put $1. MEF never put any money into any exploration program. And if you add the Ghana Geological Survey, the exploration program doesn't cost us 50 million. At least let the government do something. We have local companies that are ready to work hand in hand with the government so that these resources become not just an investment, but also a security for the country. India is one of the key countries that have lithium. They've decided at the G20 that they are only going to do exploration, however, they are not going to mine. Because if you look at the Paris Agreement, every country is trying to meet the demand of lithium production. Because Tesla, BMW, Mercedes are trying to go electric vehicle. So countries have decided that no, it's too early for us to go into the mining itself. Let's focus more on the exploration. And the moment you start doing exploration, the difference between lithium and gold, sometimes you have to extract the resource before people see the value. But for lithium, once you do exploration and have your confirmed resource, you have the pegmatite body identified, and you have you can prove it as a reserve. The country can use it as a way to raise money. We can raise money. Let me tell you, and I must also thank you very much for, 2 years ago, when we discussed about the alternative way of raising money, and we spoke about the domestic purchase program, which is an example like the gold for oil. The reason why we didn't see Ghanaians rushing queuing to go and look for money at the bank was because the domestic purchase program saved this nation.
Right.
We needed to take a risk. You understand? I mean, there will be challenges, but how long we are just looking for $3 billion from IMF, and with a confirmed pegmetal bodies, go and check from Atlantic Lithium, go and check from Akojumo, go and check from U2. Yeah, these are local. I mean, we have more local companies. At least, if I don't know, I know more than 2 that are doing something. They just need something small for the government to invest into them, 10 million, 5 million. And if you're able to confirm the resource, you can raise more than $1 billion. It means you're even creating FX for the country rather than just going for loan or, I mean, this.
I get your point, but just to move the conversation forward, we have a few minutes more to go. Now, we do know the other side of the conversation I wanted to mention. Lithium is becoming the proliferation of lithium. Many more countries are finding lithium. And some have also said that if we don't go that way now, we have the resource, it may get to the point where in some coming years or decades, it may be at the lowest prices. So it makes sense to go into it now. But I'm asking you, how do we control the future of mining exploration or lithium exploration in Ghana to ensure that we are getting the greatest benefits? How, for example, do we bring in the citizenry to ensure that their participation is guaranteed and that they also benefit?
Thank you very much. Yes. I mean, pricing for lithium is currently not good because of the fluctuation. But I mean, we understand if you look at the equity and the stock exchange side, you understand that maybe it's a program that people have just decided to put in place so that people can buy more stock at the moment. On the case of Ghana, as I mentioned to you, the logistics to which we can have this reserve doesn't cost too much money. And at the same time, we have local companies that are already, I mean, they've identified these resources in their own means. To move to the next stage, what I think we should do is that the Minerals Commission and the Ministry of Lands, this go beyond them. They need to bring in the Ministry of Finance, they need to bring in the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Railway, and even the Ministry of Agriculture because of carbon credits and other